For me, I can't see growth without consequence.
Here we go.
Here we go. Get your notebooks out.
The black Messiah Miyagi. It can be right, it can be wrong. It's yes and no, it's peanut, but it's also jelly.
Is your friendship based on memory or reality? Me and this person were no longer close. And, you know, I feel like I've lost. And he's like, well, don't beat yourself up about stuff. I'm like, yeah, but it's hard not to. And he went, yeah, but then you're losing twice. He went, you've already lost a friend, don't lose your mind.
Bienvenido, mi gente. Thank you for joining us and welcome to season 3 of The Progressing Male.
Oh, Lord.
Yes. Oh, boys, we are back. My goodness, it has been a while. So much has happened behind the scenes. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but just so you know, we are here to stay and nothing is going to derail us this time.
Nothing.
Okay? Now, we are still here to entertain, enlighten, and hopefully educate you on subjects stereotypically men avoid or society things that we cannot handle. We're breaking down those stereotypes that men cannot communicate and that we cannot access our emotions, right? Because that is so old school and so dated. The era of the gentleman is not over, and hopefully through our topic-led discussions, we can break down these outdated presumptions and stereotypes about
men.
Right?
Jeez.
That's right.
Now, our mission still stands. We are tackling cancel culture head on.
Let's go.
Don't cancel us. If you disagree with us, or maybe if we say something wrong,
Teach us.
Join in the conversation, for goodness sakes. We would love that. I promise that we are all willing, able, and ready to grow with our minds and our hearts. It is open. And now, you've heard me say the word we a couple of times. And of course, if this is your first time, welcome. I'm always joined by my right and left pillar. To my right, I have the multi-talented motivational speaker, host,
Tell him.
Dwayne Knowsworthy.
Come on, talk to me nice, bruv.
And then to my left, I have the heads of the Ins and Outs podcast, choreographer extraordinaire, and my favorite ginger, Mr. Kane Silver.
Hello, na.
I love and hate that you do that. Boys, we're back.
It feels good. It feels good.
It feels good. Okay.
Feels good.
Okay,
All right.
listen. A little mosh because I love doing this show, not only with you guys, but I just love doing the show.
Yeah.
And to say that Satan tried it,
To say the least.
to say the least. But you know what? We persevered. We are here.
Yeah, we're here.
And we are so excited to deliver you the best season yet.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
what you're putting it out there like that.
No,
Under pressure.
we've done really well this season.
Okay.
I think we've got a lot in store for you. There's a lot of subjects that we've touched. We've gone in some subjects that are quite a surprise for us. That even for me, have never ever, tackled.
Delved into that
you know
kind
what
of
I mean?
yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say it is a very versatile show. This season.
Agreed.
Now the subject this
Give it to us.
episode 1 is growth with consequences.
Say that again.
Growth with consequences. Allow me to elaborate.
Please do.
So, I know you both. So, I think one thing we can agree that we are, in some shape or form, whether it's in our craft or as men, we are trying to grow. We are trying to say goodbye to something that's old so we can just upgrade and have a glow up.
And welcome the new.
Exactly.
Right.
But I realized that sometimes growing has consequences. And what happens is you lose people, you lose opportunities, and sometimes, dare I say, some people lose themselves with the growth because they're so uncomfortable in the new, because they're so used to being safe, that there is kind of like this internal electric shock that completely frazzles and causes such a shockwave, which you would think with growth equals positivity, equals we're all in this together, but that's not always the case.
Right.
So I'm going to start sharing and hopefully you guys can chime in.
All right, let's go.
So during the pandemic, and I've shared this in previous episodes on The Progressing Male, the pandemic was not too kind to me. I went through the first time, I was depressed, and when I say it was swift and hard, it took me out.
Right.
Now, I was paralyzed with kind of the confusion and shame that came with my depression, but at the same time, the expectation for someone to help me, because we were all going through a pandemic. So there's me living through what I'm living. I want to communicate with people. I want some more help.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, who I thought was going to be there for me, not that they weren't, but they couldn't.
And they weren't there in the way that you expected them to be.
Or something.
Right.
Because remember, if I'm going through this,
They're going through something.
And I'm like, you know, I know how strong I am, how able, I'm a teacher. So I mentor people as well, you know what I mean? So to me, it's time to put pedal to the metal with my advice. But for the first time, I just had nothing in my arsenal. And so the expectation of, I needed a lifeline, a support system from someone. And when I didn't have that, that forced me to grow. I honored my depression. And I was like, you know what? There's no point of rigidly trying to fight with it. It's here now. Have your time, because once I find that light and once I find my cojones again, see you later.
My cojones.
So, yeah, my cojones. You know, and you know that's what happened. Now, unfortunately, what happened as I grew, I realized that what I had lacked in my life previous to the pandemic was boundaries. Now, I come from a household, I was raised by a black woman, Latino woman, strong-headed, stubborn, and boundaries didn't exist. She would walk into my room whenever she wanted, no knocks on the door, her rules were the rules, nothing, even if the grass is blue to her, it's blue, don't you dare, you know what I mean?
The grass is not blue to you.
Right, so there was no boundaries exercise, so growing up, I had no boundaries, hence why I'm really comfortable with the people that I love and that I like, because I'm like, what boundaries? We're family.
Right.
I later found out that what sent me over the edge is a lack of professional boundary that I had with a particular job that sent me off the edge. You know, basically, long story short, you're gonna have to go back to, you know, to the episode, but I got promised a job whilst we were during the pandemic. So
remember the story
was
well.
Panicking, I was okay
Yes.
because I had a job, and then I got offered zero, and so I wasn't gonna take that. And
Give that some context. He means he was offered zero.
like £0.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nada.
Dancing with the Stars, Ukraine.
them ones.
We're naming and shaming.
We're naming and shaming.
We're growing.
I didn't know that's what we were
Keeping it
doing here
real
on a progressive
without
mail.
the spiel.
Right. And so imagine the audacity sent me off the rails. And then so eventually when I started opening up about my depression and I started introducing boundaries within myself to protect myself, one friend in particular, as I grew and things changed and I tried to provoke and in the best way that I could, provoke and almost ask for help. And so we can find new common ground. So if this ever happens again, we can, you know, feed each other.
Yeah.
That person wasn't able. And it wasn't that wasn't able, they weren't capable and able. And they didn't want to. And so that was another slap in the face. But because I was growing, I knew that I was like, you know what? This person served their purpose, and what we did and what we had was incredible. It was amazing. Unfortunately, I felt that I treated this person quite differently to my other friends, because I do treat my female friends differently to my male friends, because I'm just more respectful to females, just automatically being raised by a single woman. And I realized that was part of my boundary journey too. Like, I can't be doing that, because if not, what happens is when I'm left for crumbs, then I've got no right to complain, because I created this beast, I created this situation.
Understood.
So as we were going back and forth with boundaries and stuff like that, the relationship didn't make it. And for me, as you know, because I wasn't raised with family, my friends are my chosen family, even the ones that are not my best friends. You know, my close friends, I just love my friends.
Yeah.
I love them. And it's no one else's business that you are my chosen family. That's my business. But when things change and when relationships sever, it's like a heartbreak to me. It really is. So as I'm kind of grabbing my new strength and these new boundaries, I'm also going through a divorce technically. And I hoped that it was just going to be, the friendship was just going to be put to another compartment. Because I've also had people that I've been really close with that I'm not close with anymore, but we're still friends.
Yeah.
And the love is still there. And it still works. I was expecting a functioning relationship like that. And it didn't work. And so what I remember, the last things I said to them, I was like, I'm not there anymore. I'm here. But you're not even meeting me halfway, because you're stubborn and you're being selfish. And that didn't go down well. And so then what happens now is that I've got nothing to show for it. And all we do is, you know, exchange pleasantries for birthdays and Christmas. I messaged the person, actually. I'm sure I wouldn't have heard otherwise, but that person has moved on. They've dealt with it how they've dealt with it.
Yep.
And I'm left with a situation where I felt like, from that depression, from that deep place, I had to grow, I had to change, I had to make changes. But the consequence of my growth was that a friend that I thought was going to make it with me to the finish line became a seasonal friend.
Right.
Now, I feel great about it because it's just funny, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whatever you believe in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The things that I approached this friend about that I was lacking, that I needed, that was emphasized while I was going through this depression, were simple things. It was more communication, more of an effort. It was, don't weaponize your spirituality so we can have conversation, man to man or woman to woman, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Person to
And
person.
Person to person, thank you. And just so I'm not cornered, I don't think that, you know, I you know, we can agree to disagree, but there's always an interrupted or a kind of like, something always happens which we don't get to the finish line of a situation.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm a person that if we go through anything, good or bad, it can still be constructive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
Definitely.
be like, and because my philosophy is you and me v the problem, it's never you, me, v me, regardless of how animated and passionate it gets. I just don't understand how you can say goodbye. But I had to be at peace of that because that was what that season was delivering me.
That's where you where you're at. That's where
Exactly.
you got to.
So fast forward, when I moved back to London, I was very nervous because I've got great friends and acquaintances and students in London, but I was living in LA for 6 years. So I got stuck in the pandemic on the last year of my visa.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm coming back to London. But where am I in this ecosystem now? Because life has moved on. I can't expect to be the person I was to these people's lives 3 or 4 or 5 years ago because they didn't come to visit me. When I come to London, yes, I see you, but in sporadic moments. So I was really, really nervous. Literally like 2 counts of 8, which is roughly about 5-6 seconds for those that are not dancers. As soon as I came to terms with this shift of this friendship, this divorce, if you will, someone else who's been in my life in many capacities, who I love dearly, I've always loved, literally came knocking at the door and verbatim, in chronological order, gave me everything that I needed from this friend that we've been friends for probably a decade or so in less than a week. And to this day, consistently.
Right.
And I just sat there and I was absolutely floored by the timing, the meticulous timing of like asking for certain things for so much and having my depression be the point where I have to cry out for help. And then, you know, then we tackling that saga together to not have a friendship, to this person just willing and able to be that, to want to be that, and consistently, which is my favorite word, consistently want to be that for me.
Right.
And it fed me so much. It gave me my confidence. It gave me the new roots that I had to, you know, dig into British soil. And it just helped me build a new ecosystem where I was loved, tolerated, where I belonged, and where to be. I've had the best time. I've never been happier. And it's such a shame because I'm not saying it's solely because of the divorce of this relationship or the relocation of this relationship, but my growth. The consequence of my growth is I lost a friendship, but then life rewarded me something else because I felt like it was like, you know what's up. Stop forcing a square in a circular area.
Yeah.
And as soon as I let life take over and I took that risk and I prioritized myself,
You
I ended up winning.
Yeah, you
but,
won.
But you see what I mean now?
Yeah.
Growth with the consequence. And
Yeah.
the consequence was great now. And obviously, you know, it took about 1.5 years for me to really get over it. And now I'm good, but it's just amazing how something so positive like growth can actually have a consequence. It's a juxtaposition that I don't quite understand or agree with, but now that I've been through it, I'm like, aha, I get it.
It's your aha moment.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
How about you, Dwayne?
Oh, we'll come straight to me, Kane.
Kane, do you have something to say?
No, you go.
No,
Yeah.
I'll go. Do you know
You
what? For me, I can't see growth without consequence.
Here we go.
Here we go. Get your notebooks out.
The black
kids.
Messiah Miyagi. It can be right, it can be wrong. It's a yes and no. It's peanut butter. It's also jelly.
I like it and I don't like
I
it.
missed
Oh my
you,
God.
Dwayne, I missed
We
you.
started
Oh,
already.
School us. Let's
no,
go.
well, for me, like, growth is about that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, relationships are about that. And like you said, you couldn't kind of fully understand how that relationship was like seasonal, where I believe that every single relationship is for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. I don't think it's for one or the other.
Lifetime.
And a lifetime.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So I believe it's for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. But what we've been told is that relationships or situations are either a reason or a season or a lifetime.
Yeah, I used to think that. Yeah,
It's
you're
not.
right.
I think they're
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I think they are all of them.
Interlinked, they can all live
Yeah,
together.
because even if it's for a season, it was for a reason, and it will stay with you for a lifetime. The relationship that you had, regardless of the point. Bars. Talk to me. Talk to me nice as well.
That was good.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah, I
you.
got
But you
tingles, but my
understand,
nipples
for
are
me,
there.
like
Yeah.
life is all about. You got tingles, yeah?
I haven't. But
All right, Kane.
it was
Why-
good though.
Yeah, so what? Just take the tingle, bro.
Tingle, man. Wow.
Tingles,
Yeah.
I got 'em.
If it was
Yeah.
Justin, you would have taken the tingle.
Right.
Anyway, so for me, every situation, circumstances, relationship, or human experience is an opportunity to listen, learn, change, grow, and evolve.
Yes.
Everything.
Right. So
It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
So it can be, and it will be uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? When you put on weight and you try on those jeans that you had in the cupboard, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Oh, I might have to lose weight. It's a bit uncomfortable because do you know what I mean? You've put on weight, but you might have, so it's uncomfortable. Sometimes that journey of losing weight is uncomfortable. Sometimes putting on that weight is uncomfortable. I find that all relationships and growth can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And there's consequences for that.
Yeah.
And I think that every consequence is an opportunity to listen, learn, change, grow, and evolve.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of welcome that. That doesn't mean that I don't have my, do you know what I mean? What should we say? My feeling towards like feeling bad about it. Like you said, it doesn't stop it from hurting me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't prevent me from feeling those feelings, but I just don't become the feels.
Yeah.
I've learned not to become the feels, and I kind of embrace, I fully embrace the change and the consequences of that and that uncomfortable feeling. I think it's part and parcel.
I agree with you. I think the same thing, but
Yeah.
I think like at this age,
Right.
Being in my late 30s, I'm just like, what do you mean we're not going to make it to the finish line after all we've been through?
But
what
that
do you
Cisco,
mean?
is about you and how you view friendship and family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
that's on your
I don't think.
expectation.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a beautiful trait that you have.
not everyone's
I
like
love.
that.
I love how you love. I love how you love Cisco. I actually love that about you. But
you.
also, I just want you to be careful of that, so it's not to your detriment.
No, it is to my attention because it's not realistic.
Right,
It's not
and that's all I want you to have. I don't want you to lose that trait of how you love. I love that you choose your family and you choose to love them with that amount of depth of love. I don't want you to lose that. I just want you to also be aware of what that consequence will
Yeah,
be.
because everyone else's capacity or like love style or experiences is different.
Do you know what? You've spoken on that. TD Jake speaks about this. Like, I think you're a 10-gallon love.
Yeah, I know this.
Whereas some people you're gonna love, they're just pint. One pint.
10 litres.
10
Yeah.
litres, like,
Milliliters,
but you want them to love you, but that's their max, Kane.
Yeah.
Their max is this. Remember, that's their max. We're 10 gallon.
And how they receive love might be different to how you give it, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
then that also makes it feel like, well, why aren't you responding the way I need?
When
or want
when
you
they're
to?
actually giving you their all,
Yeah.
but their all isn't the same as your all.
Yes.
So you view it differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what it is as well, because obviously, especially when you cross over to the best friend realm,
Nice.
the best friend realm.
Yeah.
I'm a person that is really vocal on a regular basis to like, how are these mechanics going to work? What do you need? What do I need? So it's almost like we forge this, what's at the time seems beautiful and very particular relationship. So how can we go so off course and derail so much from something that we created? But again, we can talk the talk and walk the walk, but if there's no consistency and if our matrix
Yes.
in measurement is different, then we're going to come to a halt. I don't know where it is. Like, you're right. I've got so much love to give and so much patience for it.
Yeah.
And I just don't mind tackling it until like I'm bored or like about to.
Until we've reached that point where it's done,
yeah,
innit?
but
But
not everyone's
someone
like
else's done is different to yours
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You've reached your done at a different level, sis,
Yeah.
because you're ready and willing
Yeah.
to kind of go really,
In
really
it, yeah,
like far. And
trenches.
I've got a very similar love language. Do you know what I mean? I love, and I truly believe that if I love you forever.
Yeah.
But I can still love you forever and love you from afar.
Yeah, I mean, we have.
Well, I can love you forever and love you less.
Wow.
Oh, elaborate on that.
Like, I've got who we all know quite well. Like, I have a very long-term friend
Yeah.
who I would have done since I was 14 to 27, anything on earth to make sure they're okay and to have a friendship and a relationship until there's only like, it felt like if I was trying to play tennis with your best friend and it was always me serving.
Yeah.
And there's no response, no, or even if the love back was coming, it wasn't in equal forms.
Right.
I was like, I'm giving you
The
my all.
reciprocation was there, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't like
Matching the amount you were
wasn't
giving.
matching the.
So would you say, Kane, that it's more, I can love you, but like you less? Because you still love the
I
person.
still love you, but I still think you can love someone less. Like
I hear you.
Because now our interaction, our communication has gone from an everyday thing to hardly at all.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time we interacted, but I still love you.
Yeah.
If something happened to you or you needed me, I'm there.
I feel that's love, though.
But
I feel,
yeah, like,
I understand
like,
what
I'm there.
I think we're saying the same thing,
But
we're
I'm
just
not.
using.
But I'm not consistent anymore. The thing that you need,
Right.
I'm not consistent because you weren't consistent.
Right.
So I'm just lowering my output to what your output was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm leveling up, and to come on to the growth, like that's horrible for me. Like it makes me sad thinking it because I still truly have amazing thoughts and memories of this person. But for me to move forward in life and progress to the journey I want to have, I want a family. I'm getting married. Like for all those things that I want and them to be the best condition that I want them to be, I have to take a step away because I can only pour so much out of my cup.
Yeah.
Right? Like you say. So
Yes, brother.
I'm giving such a big percentage of my cup to this person that's like splashing that water away. They don't want it. So I'm like, okay, then I need to redirect where I'm giving it.
Yeah.
Because I'm wasting it on you.
Yeah.
No hard
Well, as you know,
feelings.
that's why I don't give from my cup at all.
Yes.
As you know, but I
Yes.
understand.
And I'm learning
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
really learning to do that.
That's
and
good.
that's part of growing, right?
It is, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it sucks because you're like even talking about it, you're like, oh yeah, I think of all those nice memories. But like a new best friend who's come into my life,
Yeah.
shout out Jake.
Oh, we love Jake.
Like he always says to me, is your friendship based on memory or reality?
Wow.
Yeah,
All the time.
That's logistics. Yeah,
And
that's real.
That's powerful.
And then he says this other thing to me the other day, and it was amazing. And I'm trying to take it with everything. And you know, I'll be like, oh, me and this person we're no longer close, and you know, I feel like I've lost. And he's like, well, don't beat yourself up about stuff. I'm like, yeah, but it's hard not to. And he went, yeah, but then you're losing twice. He went, you've already lost a friend. Don't lose your mind.
Wow.
Oh.
Like that's gangster.
Yeah, it
Shakadima
is.
So like he has
flyers, bro.
like he runs businesses, and one of his people that he worked with took some clients, you know. And I was like, yo, you're not pissed about that? And he went, yeah, I am. He's like, but if I waste my energy on it, I've lost twice.
I think he's doing the philosophy that I've learned last year, where it's like, I am no longer going to get emotional or react to things that are out of my reach. Because then you're right, you lose twice.
Yeah.
You
And there's no growth in that then, because you're just
Right.
digging your own grave.
And I think it says a lot about a man, where at the point where we have got every right to fucking bite someone's head off, but we take that beat and take the breath and be like, you know what? I'm going to do this with decorum and not react because I trust that life, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, is going to do that for me. Because if not, it's going to affect my character.
Yes.
And everything that I've been working towards.
Yes. I'm not letting no one draw me
you
out
know
of my
what I mean?
character and
Like,
my piece.
yeah,
And that
it's-
says so much about you as a man, as a person.
It's so
period.
important. I think it's so important.
I think so.
It's so important for a man.
It's difficult at times, and I would say it's hard, but I've learned to change how I say things as well. It's like, it's hard, but it's not as hard as we make it.
Yeah, my technique is the breath.
You've got to.
Like, as soon as my neck starts going forward, I have to go back and be like, and almost do like a woosah. And
That's
be
what I
like,
call my PSB. Pause, stop, and breathe.
work. Because I know me. I came from a home of reactive behavior.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it's normal. As much as I don't agree with it, it's normal to me.
Wow.
Like for me to go Super Saiyan and like break the dishes or break you, whether it's verbally, physically, like there is a pleasure that I did that because that's where I grew up. I grew up seeing my mum and dad combat all the time. So as much as I knew that was incorrect, it's in my blood to do that. That's my safe place. And so I've kind of like went from suppressing to bringing it back up to like, no, I must understand this. And like, it's not going to leave me. I just need to know when to bring it out. And the only
And
time-
how?
But the only time I'm allowed to bring it out is if I'm in danger or someone else is in danger, and then I'm like talking's out the window. It's Super Saiyan time. It's morphin time.
Right.
But other than that, I'm like, Cisco, you have had too many opportunities while you were growing up where, you know, quote unquote, you failed the moment.
Right.
So we're not going there again.
Understood.
You know what I mean? Keeping your decorum and your core is important. So, Kane, what is your philosophy on growth of consequence? Have you experienced it? And if you haven't, like, what do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like, yes, in loads of different ways. Like, I feel like I kind of not put my dreams on hold, But like I stopped chasing certain dreams because I wanted to settle down and have a, you know, and get married. And I met the woman of my dreams, and we're getting married like this year. Like I'm aware that for that to happen, I can no longer pursue the things that I would normally wanted to pursue. I can't just be like, yo, I've got a tour, I'm gone for a year, because I also wanted us to get a house and I wanted us to get a dog. And with those things comes responsibilities.
Right.
So
it's a different kind of growth.
Growth in a relationship, but the consequence is that you don't get to be as flexible with your career.
Oh, I don't get to be.
He lost out on the
Kane.
dream somewhat, technically.
But I've got a new dream. You know
Indeed,
what I mean? Which
yeah.
will last longer.
Yeah.
It's a different investment.
It's a different investment. Whereas my whole life I was so
Different investment's quite nice.
I was so career driven and nothing else mattered.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were.
Like blinkered by everything.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and everything that come at me, I'd be like, it's fine, just bat it out the way and keep chasing. And now it's like, well, actually no. Like the real investment now is in my relationship and in what's next. What's more than Kane as the dancer, and what about Kane as the person? Do you know what I mean? And what
Kane, the partner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like and investing in the nearer people around me, as opposed to me thinking the investment needs to be, I need to get that job
It's
because
not
I need
about
to dance for that.
you anymore, right? You're
Yeah.
including a we.
It's about a we, which is really hard for me to adapt to, because I've been so used to being
Me.
me.
Which is weird, because you're not a selfish person, but you're so used to just fending for yourself.
But I'm not selfish when it comes to some things, but some things I so am.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because if you're like, no, you shouldn't do that job because you've made commitments to go to someone's wedding, I'd be like, fuck the wedding, I'm out. Like, I want to do that job because that's what I've worked my whole life towards. Do you know what I mean? Like little things like that. And where I think work was always a priority, it's been really hard to not make it a priority. And even still, like, we're wedding planning at the moment. And like last night, Georgia looked at the diary and she's like, okay, you can't book in any more work without telling me you're going to book it first. Because we have no time together between now and 70 days when we get married to plan shit. We've got to have meetings with florists and da-da-da-da-da.
Married life.
And I'm like, yeah, but in my head, like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm like, I'm taking work. I've got to pay for the florist.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm also doing it because I'm selfishly chasing my dreams still at the side, subconsciously.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, the consequence is, you've got to maybe take your foot off the work pedal and invest in the direction of that thing, the other thing you wanted, which is marriage and happiness and working as a team.
Yeah. It seems like you're at a crossroad, a nice crossroad where like a new reality is waiting for you and you're kind of like getting used to the mechanics of that all. I think you're doing a great job though. I really think you are. You work so freaking hard. Like Kane, if you don't know, this motherfucker is working from dusk till dawn, Monday to Friday. He's making paper for that house and for that wedding. And I think it's great that it seems like you're in a relationship where the conversation can come up without it being conflicting and be like, look, I need more time. And then now you're at a stage and an age because of how accomplished you are that you're like, yeah, you're right, actually. This is the priority.
Yeah.
It's growth.
And I still suck at even responding correctly. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm so like, yeah, but I'm doing everything right. But
To
sometimes
you, yeah.
to me, and then I have to remember like, oh, this isn't just about me in this moment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I'm so used to worrying and fending for me.
Of course.
You know, from living in LA at such a young age, like I went at 22, like and being on my own and having to fend for myself, leaving home at 16, to then be like, oh, it's not only about you. That's a real hard thing to manage.
At least you're recognizing that though.
Yeah. Try it.
No, you're trying.
No,
but
you're
that's the
doing
thing.
it.
But
You
you're
are. You've just told us.
You're doing it. That's great. That's a great perception of growth of consequence. I think I want to end it with I was watching a speaker on Instagram, you know, when you get stuck in an Instagram hole.
Yeah.
And she said the reason as well why people react so badly to your growth is because you're killing off the person that they're
Seeing the
used
same
to
thing.
and that you're worth.
Yep.
And so what happens is it's like, well, what's my worth now? What's my place in this? As opposed to like, oh my God, you're growing. So for me, when my friends grow, I'm like, oh, you're leveling up, we leveling up.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what am I taking from you? Is it a yes or a no?
It's a
How can I
celebration.
accommodate? Do you know what I'm saying? Where like people are like, oh, we're
you're
not doing this anymore.
Oh, you're changing?
You're changing?
You're
Oh,
not
no, no.
the Cisco that I know anymore?
Yeah, so you kill off their old and now they can't see the new. Why? Because they're so invested in themselves. And some of them don't even realize, because the people that I allow in my proximity are not naturally or purposefully, selfish. But we all got that streak in what we do.
Of course.
It's just us, right?
Of course.
But when I heard that, years later to what just happened, I was just like, aha. And if I was to explain that or know that to this person, they would never in a million years agree to that. Why? Because it's too real. It's too real.
Wow.
Boys, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Great first episode.
Love it.
Love
I'm
it.
so glad we're back.
Oh, me too. Me too. Me too. And remember, if you are watching this on Instagram or YouTube, we want you to join in the conversation. What does growth with consequences look like for you? Can you relate to one of our stories? Do you have a different stories? Whatever you want to talk about, please, please, please sound off in the comments, because we would love for you to join in the conversation. Now, before we end, what we're going to do in our episodes this season is what we call the messon, the male lesson. See what I did there?
I see what you did.
I know.
That was nice.
I know. So every episode, what did we take away from it? Kane.
Growth can sometimes hurt, but keep going with it.
Nice. The Black Miyagi.
It's kind of similar to Kane, that growth can be ugly, but there's beauty in it.
I'm going to say that allow more patience with growth, because whether consequence does not mean negative all the time.
Very true.
It's how we look at it. And sometimes that consequence can reveal later something much bigger and better than what you were living with before.
Nice.
So patience.
Patience.
And on that note, please keep it real without the spiel.
No.
He was coming.